They said her home was cursed. Shadows that moved, whispers that froze her in place. Night after night, the darkness grew heavier. But when Lee called on a name greater than the fear that hunted her, everything changed. What happened next can't be explained by logic, only by light. It started with small things, a picture falling, a sudden chill, a whisper that had no source. Lee tried to ignore it. After all, old houses make noises. But soon the nights became unbearable. The lights flickered without cause. Her sleep was restless, her dreams filled with shadowed figures calling her name. She lived alone in a modest home at the edge of town, surrounded by tall trees and silence. Friends stopped visiting. Something about the place made them uneasy. She felt watched, as if eyes followed her from the corners of the room. A neighbor whispered about the house's past, that it once belonged to a woman rumored to have dabbled in dark things. Lee laughed it off at first, but laughter turned to trembling when one night she awoke unable to move. A cold wind pressed against her chest. Something unseen whispered, "You can't escape." She screamed, but no sound came. Days blurred into nights. The air in her home felt heavier, like a presence watching her from every corner. Lee prayed, but her words felt empty. Her Bible lay open on the table, its pages fluttering even when there was no breeze. A friend from church, sensing her distress, visited and listened quietly as Lee described what she'd been experiencing. The woman's face grew solemn. "You're under spiritual attack," she said gently. "You must reclaim your space. Speak light where there's darkness." That night, Lee gathered her courage. She walked room to room, praying aloud. Her voice trembled at first, but grew stronger with each word. She read Psalm 91. "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." But as she began to pray in her bedroom, the lights went out. She felt that same suffocating weight return. The whispers rose again, angry this time. "You don't belong here." Lee stood her ground. "This house belongs to God," she said aloud, "and I belong to Him." That night was her breaking point. Lee fell to her knees beside her bed and whispered, "Jesus, help me. I can't fight this alone." And something shifted. The air stilled. The pressure lifted. The silence that followed was deep and pure, not empty, but peaceful. For the first time in months, Lee slept soundly. When she woke, sunlight poured through the curtains. The heaviness was gone. The rooms felt lighter, almost alive. Even her plants, long wilted, seemed to reach toward the morning sun. Word spread quietly through her church. Some called it spiritual warfare. Others called it faith in action. But Lee didn't need labels. She only knew that the darkness had broken, not by her strength, but by the one she'd called upon. In the weeks that followed, Lee's home became a place of peace. Visitors noticed the difference immediately. The warmth, the quiet calm, the way she smiled without fear. Sometimes she still heard creaks in the night, but they no longer frightened her. She'd learned that fear only grows in darkness, and she had found the light. Lee kept the same open Bible on her table, marked at Psalm 91. "This," she told a friend one afternoon, "is my reminder. You don't have to fight the dark by yourself." And maybe that's the lesson, that not every battle is seen, and not every miracle can be explained. But when faith meets fear, light always wins. Lee's story reminds us that the greatest victories are often fought in silence, and that light, once spoken, cannot be unmade. If this story touched you, share it, and follow Lanes and Lanterns, where true stories of hope, faith, and the unseen light the way.